We're here in one of the driest regions of Italy, Basilicata.
Until the 70s, they were living in caves. That's where I'm going to take you. I'm going to take you to Matera and have a look at these caves.
It's one of the jewels of this place, Matera.
Absolutely. I thought now Matera looks very picturesque. For centuries, life has been very harsh, and the people here were very poor. Even in modern times, families were still living in houses carved out of the rock.
It looks like a cubist painting, an ancient maze in which you can lose yourself for hours. I'm really intrigued by the appearance of this town. I'd like to find out more about its past and its present.
It's like a kind of human rabbit warren. Except instead of tunnels, there are all these passages, these stairs, these endless different layers and sort of exterior corridors. I think we need to go up this one.
Sometimes when you think about like New York and places like that, then the people live vertically. This is like, this has been doing that for thousands and thousands of years.
Really unusual, isn't it, to find a place where the medieval structure, probably earlier than medieval structure, survives.
Look at that!
Fantastic, isn't that fantastic?
Look at how beautiful it is. This is the chimney of somebody's house underneath here. Yeah. So you're walking on the roof of somebody.
Roof.
This is incredible, isn't it?
That's fantastic.
The old town of Matera is called Sassi, stones, and has been listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
The Sassi is one of the earliest human settlements in Italy. People have lived here since Palaeolithic times.
I think this is the way to see it, a walk through the back streets. All the houses kind of prop each other up in some way. I think we're in for a southern Italian storm, no?
Fantastic. We still need to do our shopping for lunch. Let's go before it starts to rain.
The market's bursting with a wonderful variety of local fruit and veg. I'm struck by these hefty, round courgettes, like green cricket balls.
I've decided to cook a typical peasant recipe, pignata. Everything I need is here. Oh, buongiorno. Allora, volevamo un po' di cicoriella, 1 chilo così. Look at the range of vegetables they have. It's incredible, isn't it, for a small stall? Some of the stuff maybe comes directly from the farmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Poi volevamo un pochettino di pomodori.
Quale? Piccadilly o...
Piccadilly, they call. Fantastic.
Is this Piccadilly Circus then?
Anzi, così basta.
Anche un po' di più. Un po'. That's it. Perfetto. Yeah, it smells like
It smells like a tomato.
Hasn't been in the fridge.
No.
Grazie.
Ciao, mister.
Ciao, grazie.
Ciao.
Arrivederci, grazie.
So, ciao, mister.
Ciao, mister.
Ciao, signore. Ciao, mister.
Our last stop is the butcher. In the past, meat was considered a luxury. People would eat it, maybe just once a year, for a special occasion, like the harvest. Down questa bella pecora che c'ha. Pecora e stew.
It's mutton.
Yeah,
So,
like a mutton.
yeah.
Yeah. 4 pounds. Yeah, you take it all. We take it all. To cook a perfect pignata, you have to put a bit of sausages. Quale ci consiglia, signor Michele? Questa qua?
La salsiccia, sì.
Fantastico, dolce. Yeah, it's nice flavors.
Posso?
Prego.
Non morsicarlo. Metti giù.
È molto profumato.
It's very, very typical thing.
Grazie.
Grazie. Grazie, signor Michele, buona giornata, arrivederci.
Before we go into the kitchen, I want to take Giorgio on a mini pilgrimage to a unique church perched on top of one of Matera's rocks.
It's raining today, but if we were 13th century visitors to the church coming up from the town, we'd actually be happy.
Right.
Because it hardly ever rains here. And that's blessed water coming from the heavens. Water is really precious in this town, and it's the subject of this church, if you like. It's called Santa Maria de Idris, Saint Maria of the Water.
Of the water.
And it was a particular place of devotion for the women of Matera. They wouldn't come in like we're coming in. They wouldn't walk on their feet. No, they'd start at the bottom of the hill and they'd go on their knees. So all the way, they'd come up like this.
No way.
Yeah. And that's not all.
Is that what they used to do?
That's not all. I'm not kidding. This channel here is called a leccatoio, which means a licking channel. And you would lick your way into the church here. Now, this might seem like a weird, primitive ritual, but I think when you think about the nature of this place, and then when you see this image, it begins to make sense. She's the Madonna of the Water Jugs.
Right.
Now, she's all scratched and scribbled because she's been so destroyed by time. I think you can feel the sort of accumulated centuries of veneration and prayer. I love the way it's placed as well, the way it's placed above the city. I mean, look at that view. And you feel you're on an eminence.
It's amazing as well, is that the building becomes the mountain and the mountain becomes the church, isn't it? So like using nature.
Yeah. This little arch, they've cut this through.
Okay.
It actually takes us into a different church. This is San Giovanni Monterone, named after the rock, St. John of the Rock. And it's got these wonderful little fragments of frescoes. Look at that face up there.
So beautifully.
They were painted in the 13th century, and yet they're done in this archaic Byzantine style.
Yeah.
If you come over here, look, much later, late 16th century.
Yeah, you can see that.
Shakespeare's writing his tragedies, Caravaggio's painting. And yet this is what they think the latest style is here. As if from 2 centuries earlier than that. Aren't they beautiful?
This looks like a girl that could walk down the streets today, doesn't it?
Yeah. I know what you mean. The figure's got this very dark hair, these dark eyes, dark complexion. It's not actually a girl, it's not actually a woman. This is San Giovanni the Evangelist. He's often seen as the most feminine of the disciples, and Christ embraces him.
I think also what is amazing, you can see like at least 3 layers here. So they painted one on top of each other.
That must be at least 3 frescoes back. That might be 1300. But no matter how many layers of time we find, whenever we do arrive at a time, at a period, we see that they are 200 years behind everyone else.
This part of Italy is the forgotten land of the Mezzogiorno, as we call the South. Even as late as 1940, most Italians hadn't even heard of Matera.
That all changed thanks to one man, Carlo Levi, a northern Italian who was banished in 1935 for opposing Mussolini's fascist regime. While in exile, he wrote Christ Stopped at Eboli, published in 1945.
I read it when I was young at school because, you know, our teacher was from the south of Italy, and when he started to try to explain to us the problem of the Mezzogiorno, that was the first book, the book that was more essential for us, northern Italian boy or northern Italian kids, to understand really what was the problem or how bad it was, this problem in the south.
I think what I was most struck by was the description of Matera, which is described by Levi, who himself presumably was deeply shocked, and he says it's like Dante's Inferno. And he talks about these windows or doors into the rock, and they're like these black eyes that haunt him. And then he looks inside and he sees these families living 20 to a room with their animals, with their pigs, their sheep, their dogs.
This was a place of sufferance where people really, really lived in a way that we cannot even imagine now.
The most striking thing for me was the description of the children. And he describes children like the children that we see in Africa today when there's a famine. They've got grotesquely distended stomachs. Their legs are thin like skeletons. They're so demoralized and ill, they can't even wipe the flies from their eyes. And I just, you know, it's really shocking. I don't know who you'd compare Carlo Levi to today. He's sort of almost like the Bob Geldof of his time. He really got people to think about it, didn't he?
Exactly.
And it's changed, hasn't it? Beyond recognition.
It's their time to show off and make, something great of this past.
As a measure of it, they are one of the candidate cities to be European City of Culture.
Of culture.
Carlo Levi would be pretty proud of that.
Yeah. It is a magical place.
Today, about half of the Sassi has been restored. People have moved back, making their homes once again in the honeycomb. The town's been given a second chance, and it's come back to life.
Our kitchen is inside one of these restored caves. I love how they kept the old structure. The perfect location for what I'm going to cook. Mutton stew with vegetable, pork sausage and pecorino cheese.
Your job is to pull your sleeves up and with these implements to peel these potatoes.
Well, thanks.
I'll cut the other stuff. We're going to cut the Piccadilly tomato in half.
Can I just check that they're okay?
Yeah. They're delicious, aren't they?
They're okay. They're like plums.
They're sweet. You want it very hot?
I don't know. How hot are these?
They are hot.
I just ate a whole one.
And it's not hot.
It's really hot.
It's really hot. I thought you were really hot.
My tongue, I can't feel it anymore. It's completely
I
anaesthetized.
say not to eat it. Why
I
you
know.
eat it? Bring the piñata, which is that amphora.
This is beautiful.
I have to layer the ingredients one on top of each other so that everything will cook evenly. It's like an ancient pressure cooker with an edible lid.
A little bit of the celery, a little bit of the onions, a bit of the lamb. Yeah, this is okay. I made some dough. The main idea is not to lose any of the flavor.
You're kind of almost putting it to bed, your
yeah.
dish. Goes to sleep for 3 hours. And what happens to this wonderful covering?
Eat it. It'll be like bread.
But it won't crack and
Well,
you hope.
I hope.
The food almost kind of steams.
It will kind of move as
But
it
it's not
goes.
going to really
No,
reach
it's not
a-
going to pick up boiling. That's why we're cooking next to the fire. We should put it in now. Okay, Andrew, come.
So now what? You've just put it down and...
Yeah. Not too close, not too far. And again, I give him a turn. I'm so worried that he's going to come out so nice, and I have to wait for 3 hours now. Like, I'm steaming more than that pot because I don't know what's going to happen in that pot.
It's
You know what I
gonna
mean?
be, I know it's going to be good. Non preoccupare.
There is time for one last look at the Sassi while the food cooks.
There aren't many descriptions of old Matera, but there's one that I really like. It was written in the 17th century by a man of the cloth. And he said that in the evening, it was the custom here that each house would put out a light. And because there were so many houses, so many windows, so many doors, the whole city was almost like a sea of lights, which would be reflected in the starry sky above.
Look, I see what you mean.
It's different now, of course, but if you half close your eyes, you can almost get the effect.
Dalle stalle alle stelle. From the stars to the
To the
stars.
stars.
Come.
Well, it is about the hour of eating, isn't it?
Yes.
Ah, at last. That is amazing. That is one of the weirdest looking things. That's the lid.
That is the lead. What do you think, Andrew?
I think it's a spectacular object.
Whoa.
You don't also have a smell of this.
Wow.
It smells fantastic. Doesn't it smell fantastic?
You can actually eat that.
Good, though. I'm going to sit here and salivate
unpolitely.
There we go, look. A big bit of you.
This must be a bit of cheese.
I never
then
got
it
any
smells.
cheese. I better put some of it. I know it's more than I should have, but
That's a big plate of stuff.
the cheese smells fantastic as well.
Okay. Whoa.
The lamb is fantastic, isn't
When we put it on and put it next to the fire, I was really worried about it because the power of the fire is something that, it takes years to really understand it.
it? Look at that lamb, it's perfect. It just comes off
coming
the bone.
Yeah. It's absolutely delicious, and peasant food is best.
What I like about it is it's very hearty. To me, it tastes really healthy, like it's good for you.
Chin chin, man.
Cheers.
We've travelled a few miles outside of Matera into the wilderness because my sources tell me there's been an extraordinary art discovery hidden away in some caves.
Wow, look at the river.
Gorgeous scenery.
Until 1963, shepherds used to keep their flocks inside these caves. I hope we're not on a wild sheep chase.
Not bad, huh?
We're right in the middle of the countryside, in the middle of nowhere. Look
In
at
a
this.
cave cut into a cliff.
This is amazing.
Spectacular, isn't it? Look at this.
This is San Pietro. It's got the keys.
The keys. Do you know how old these paintings are?
I haven't got no idea.
They are really, really old. Everything here was painted before 850, so we're talking 9th century, 8th century, 1,200 years old. Amongst the oldest frescoes in all of southern Italy and amongst the best, but still a really well-kept secret. I mean, hardly anybody ever comes here. There's virtually nothing written about these works.
The artists who created the frescoes are unknown. Perhaps they were master painters from the Byzantine East, called in by the Benedictine monks who settled in these caves during the 8th century, gradually transforming them into little churches.
And if you come around on this side, look at her. Absolutely beautiful painting.
Look how dressed it looks like a print from last year collection in Paris.
Primitive, but actually fantastic, beautiful, sophisticated. What I love about it is the way in which they've used the shape of the rock so that she's looming over you.
That's
Her
right.
head is actually painted on the overhang, so she's looking down on you.
She's got the sweetest eyes ever.
But look up here. This is really rare. Monumental depiction of Genesis. Lost for words.
What do you mean?
Okay.
Andrew Graham-Dixon speechless in the front of a workout. Never seen that.
In the centre of the Sistine Chapel, you've got that tree.
And that thing of the fingers as well. Like, look, his arms are up. And...
Exactly. The single hand of God.
Right.
Create Adam.
Gives the life to Adam.
Obviously, Michelangelo didn't see this, but he's inheriting it. That's the tree of knowledge with Satan twined around it, whispering to Eve, take the apple, take the apple.
And look what is it, the forbidden fruit? It's not an apple, it's a fig. Look, she's already ashamed.
It's almost like you're seeing the beginning of Italian religious painting here. And it's here in a cave in Little Matera. How incredible.
I'll never forget those frescoes. So unexpected. Matera's been one surprise after another.
Andrew put the bar of discoveries pretty high. Luckily, I have the perfect match.
Buongiorno!
Buongiorno, buongiorno.
Gaetano owns a herd of cows known as Podolica, an ancient breed that comes from the eastern steppe. They're very strong, the perfect species to survive this harsh land.
They look very much like Matera moo cows. They're even the same colour as the local stone.
È la passione, ce l'ho nel sangue. Questi sono i veri custodi del territorio, i veri tutori del territorio.
What is important is that the animal don't get any additional feed. All they eat is what grows here. Look, this is wild rocket. They eat these, and all these flavors goes in the milk, and then after goes in the cheese.
I can't wait to taste the cheese.
Okay.
Gaetano makes caciocavallo, a cheese so ancient it was mentioned by the Greek writer Hippocrates in 500 BC.
I bet it's what the painters who created those frescoes in the caves used to eat.
There is thousands of years of history and experience in this movement. Look, he's stretching the dough up.
You said dough. I mean, it looks like dough.
It's like a dough. Oh, look at how beautiful. I'm gonna get it, move it around.
It looks like a whale's tongue.
We're gonna stretch it really, really long. His own weight is pulling on it.
It's very important to stretch the curd because it realigns the protein in the cheese to give its characteristic texture.
I never done this before. This is like for you it'd be if Van Gogh was here and painting it, you just pass him the color, Andrew. Have you seen his hands? This guy's hands have got a strength that you cannot even imagine.
I've seen his forearms.
1, 2, and push.
Gaetano may be a man of few words, but his actions speak for themselves. He's dedicated his life to keeping the caciocavallo tradition alive.
As they stay in the hot water,
They begin to sort of melt back into one piece.
that's right.
Is it very hot?
Very hot. I barely can touch it, and my hands are quite used to heat. Okay, here you are.
Oh, wow.
Ooh. As he's closing, he's pushing with his knees as well.
So it's like a jellyfish that's been
Like
forced to
that's
swallow its
right.
own tentacles.
And he turns it completely inside out in order to create one skin outside. It's very important that the whole process close it completely. So then there is no air coming through, there's no infiltration, there won't be any mold growing on it.
It's like watching a potter making a pot
Absolutely.
out of clay. It looks like an ancient object somehow.
Oh,
Isn't it beautiful?
oh, it's like a baby. When you say handmade, this is what it means. Handmade, made with your hands. I am a very, very, very happy boy. I have done something that I never done in my life. This is so fantastic.
After a couple of hours of this masterclass in ancient cheesemaking, we couldn't possibly leave Gaetano without having a little taste of his caciocavallo.
Ok, we're gonna taste one. Questo qua quanto è vecchio? Questo qua? This is 12 months. If you taste it, you're gonna have a big bit. You're gonna have a... Oh.
Ma va, che buono! Guardate, buonissimo.
Su 10, un altro pezzettino.
Come no, come no. But it has the same kind of intensity as a really fantastic cheddar. I mean,
It's a bit more grainy than a cheddar.
Yeah, more than towards Parmesan in that sense.
Yes, more.
You can
towards
taste
Parmesan.
almost
Yeah,
crystallized.
it's got the crystal in there. That's exactly.
But
And
it's super. It's fantastically good.
Grazie. Andiamo. Grazie.
Prego.
Oh, arrivederci.
Andiamo.
Goodbye, Matera. We are now heading to the neighboring region of Puglia.
I think Matera was absolutely essential. I've never seen a place like that, did there?
That's extraordinary, isn't it?